Morning, Commissioners. I'm Tom Harlow, President of Wellspan Good Samaritan Hospital. Pleasure to be here this morning.
Good morning. I'm Jason Trout, Chief Development Officer with Wellspan Good Samaritan Hospital.
And you have representatives Mr. Dixon, Rick Scott, and Sherry Castro from the Dixon Foundation.
Thanks very much for your time today.
You're welcome.
Well, good morning. Thank you for giving us the time. Part of the mission of Wellspan Good Samaritan Hospital is to enhance and improve the health and well-being of those we serve in the community. And along those lines, we're here this morning to request the support from the County of Lebanon to partner with us by acting as the lead grantee on a Pennsylvania State Redevelopment Assistance Capital Project application in the amount of $3 million. The project for which we're seeking this funding is the development of an integrated health and wellness center within the city of Lebanon that would serve the vulnerable population of all of Lebanon County. This is really an extension of our charitable mission and something we feel very strongly about continuing to be the safety net for all citizens within the County of Lebanon. We have already initiated a feasibility study with some funding from the Francis Dixon Foundation to really explore the need and the scope of this project. The proposed center would be within the city of Lebanon. Whether it's new property or renovation of existing, we're still working through some of those details. This center would add additional primary care capability, behavioral health services, and also incorporate some of the other social services within the County of Lebanon, which, as we all know, there are other social determinants, housing, food, that really support the health and well-being of our citizens. So our goal would be to have a comprehensive center that serves those that maybe are a little less fortunate than the rest of us. Right now we're estimating preliminary costs of about $10 million. This grant would be $3 million of that, with matching funds coming from Wellspan and other organizations as we move forward. So again, the ask is for the county to serve as the lead grantee, with Wellspan Good Samaritan Hospital being the sub-grantee for this redevelopment assistance capital grant. So that's our presentation and request this morning, and again, appreciate your time, and if there's questions, certainly happy to try to answer any of those.
You have a motion on the floor.
Can I ask questions?
Do you have a motion before you ask questions? Or?
I'd like to ask some questions if you don't mind.
It's unorthodox, but go ahead.
Okay. I was wondering, to do my due diligence, I have to ask a few questions because I don't have quite enough information.
Sure.
Do you have an annual report by chance for us?
For Wellspan? I don't have one present, but we can get that, and Wellspan does publish an annual community benefit report, so we can certainly provide that to you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And in there, is the current board listed?
I don't believe the board of the parent corporation would be.
But I guess I don't know who's on the board anymore for the local.
We can certainly
We can
provide
May I
that.
just, this is leading to ask if I'm on the board, so that let's just put that out on the table. That I will disclose that I'm a member of the Dixon Foundation Board, and I'm also a member of the local advisory board for Good Samaritan Wellspan. So, and I've cleared it with our council that I have no pecuniary interest in this project, no gain personally from it. If nothing else, I'll be donating toward it. So just for full disclosure, if that's where you were headed with your questions.
No, I just wondered if there were local people on the board, or if
yes.
it's all out-of-towners. I mean, I have no idea the makeup anymore.
No, we can provide that to you, Commissioner, but the makeup of the board is made up majority of local business people, local residents and things, so. Yeah,
So there is still local input then?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. And since Wellspan took over, I'm not sure, has it changed from a nonprofit to a for-profit hospital?
It has not.
It has not.
It still operates as a 501c3 not-for-profit organization.
Okay. And I guess the next question has to deal with site location. You said you might redevelop some existing land. Where would that be?
We don't know yet. That's part of our feasibility study, to look at whether we would need new construction or if there's property within the city of Lebanon that would be able to accommodate this center. So that's part of the feasibility, which we anticipate having complete by mid-May. So we have not selected a site or anything at this point. That's, again, part of our work through with the feasibility.
Okay, so I'm unsure then, will we be taking more property off the tax rolls, or will the new property be paying real estate taxes? If
Well,
they go to new property?
Yeah, if it's new property, it would not be under the hospital, is my understanding at this point. So I'm not sure of the tax implications. We could certainly research that, but I don't believe that it would be taking properties off
Okay.
or taking away.
Well, that's
so.
reassuring. All right. I guess those are my questions. Oh, the parking. I saw you also were going to address parking. Is that an existing parking lot? Is that a new parking lot? Is it all part of the same property?
There's nothing in our proposal that addresses parking.
No,
Oh, I saw that on the application.
no, there's nothing in this.
But you will provide parking if you.
Oh, sure.
relocate.
Parking
Sure.
lot, $300,000 under other land cost.
Well, I thought you were asking a question that had to do with addressing a parking issue or question. I think we'll have to look at our site, any site, to make sure that it has adequate parking, but that's not a specific or separate item. I maybe misunderstood your question.
Okay, so.
Maybe if I heard it again, I'm sorry, I apologize.
No, that's
Commissioner.
okay. I didn't know if you would redevelop an existing site, is there parking there, or do you have to buy additional land for
Oh,
parking?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you meant. I think we just have to consider that as part of all the assessment that we're doing.
Right,
So you have nothing concrete yet?
no.
Okay.
Yeah, the timing of the application and all of the planning that gets done sometimes aren't exactly in synchronization, so we have to sort of go with the timing of the opportunity there and also continue and accelerate our planning. Unfortunately, it's not all nailed down yet.
Okay, I know, because we're going to be partners, so we're going to receive the $3 million and pass it through to you, and you're going to do the administration, is that correct?
That's
Correct.
correct.
Okay.
No cost to the county, it's acting as a pass-through, and it's reimbursable, so the work has to get done. Certain guidelines have to be followed, and then the reimbursement is made after the work is done.
Okay, thank you.
You're
One
welcome.
thing I may have missed, what's the percentage of the match? Is it 100%?
It's at
Dollar for
least-
dollar?
The match has to be 50%,
50%.
and it will
Oh.
exceed that.
It'll exceed, yeah, it'll be more.
It'll exceed
Sure.
that, that's right.
I do have one other question, I'm sorry. Would this, I heard, and I guess I need verification, is this the same pool that the city would be applying for with their grant for the downtown courthouse, not courthouse, municipal building that they want to build? And if so, would that put you two in competition, or could you both get funded?
Well, I'm not familiar with their project, so I apologize. If they're applying for RCAP monies,
I think that's what it is.
my understanding is that there are specific requirements and observable or metrics to determine who gets the money. So each project has to stand on its own.
But theoretically,
and-
Lebanon could get two awarded?
I think that there's no restriction geographically about how many can be awarded.
Okay.
I mean, there is a competitive pool. These things are always competitive by definition, but each project has to stand on its own merits. And there's specific criteria upon which these are based.
Okay, thank you.
And healthcare is a specific category to the best of my knowledge.
I'd like you to explain a little bit more about your target population of who would be using this and.
Sure. No, go ahead.
No, just whether you feel that, you obviously feel there's a need for that, and just explain a little bit more,
Right.
please.
Yeah, Wellspan had done an analysis back in, I think, 2015 on the need for primary care in the county in general. And when we look at the vulnerable population, those that are underinsured or uninsured, and we look at our utilization, for example, of our emergency department for non-emergent care, there's clearly a need to provide additional primary care resources within the city. And a lot of those patients we find too, it's not just the health issues that they're having, but there may be other, what we call the social determinants of health, inadequate housing, food. How do they access social services? And the goal of this center would be to bring that together and have a much more coordinated approach to not only the medical care, but to behavioral health and access to all of those other social services that are either provided through other supporting agencies in the county or through the county itself. So that's the goal, is really, I hate to use the word one-stop shopping, but that would be the ultimate goal, that patients that are in need of help would be able to go to one location to receive all of that. So
It sounds like that would be creating jobs in the city as well. Have you gotten to that point?
I think it would be hard to tell and hard to comment on that at this point, but that would certainly be one of the goals, that if we're creating something new, there would be need for additional employment, but we just haven't gone that far enough. Right.
We've been asked to estimate that in our application, and we suspect that that could be as much as 80 jobs. Some are temporary, some would be permanent jobs, but again, that's very much up in the air until it's all nailed down.
Do you have a timeline that you're hoping to meet?
Well, we have May 15th is the deadline to prepare a proposal to, obviously, any funding sources that would be interested. Obviously, the grant would be part of that, but Wellspan Health System would also be looking to provide support for this project. So we have to do our due diligence, put together the feasibility, and present it to a small group of stakeholders to make sure that we're on target, and would the project be able to be funded then too. So that's part of what we're hoping to have accomplished in May, mid-May.
Gordon?
Have you had any conversations with the city officials at all about this?
We actually have meetings, have had meetings and have meetings scheduled. So we have met with what we call a stakeholders group, which would be other social service agencies in Lebanon. We've already had that meeting. Meeting with the governmental and non-stakeholder group is actually next week, the 22nd. So we will be meeting with the mayor and other representatives from the county and government officials to discuss the plan for this, and hopefully garner their endorsement and support too.
Will that come at a public meeting?
No, that's going to, again, we're just doing, because of the feasibility, nothing definitive. This is really, I think, just to get their feedback and input, just to make sure that we're on point and we're addressing the needs from their perspective as well. So that's just really more of an information gathering session and things. And I wouldn't expect that we would have anything, if you will, ready for prime time till later this year. I think we need to work through the feasibility, determine the ability to get funded. And so there's a lot of work ahead of us, but the grant would certainly help support moving it forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Something he said did raise another question. You said you met with other, like stakeholders, like, is that like PCS and Panessa and those kinds, or?
It would be, for example, Lebanon Family Health Services, Welsh Mountain, the school districts. We had a group of stakeholders who really play a role in healthcare and addressing the needs of the vulnerable population. So the group that I referenced meets on the 22nd, includes not only government officials, but United Way and other agencies. So we're trying to get with some of the primary stakeholders and just get their feedback and input into this, just to make sure conceptually that they're in agreement that this is a need that we can help address.
Would it
together.
be similar to the services provided by the entities that I mentioned?
We're not looking to duplicate services, but to better coordinate, so that, as an example, if someone needs housing, where do they have to go to get that? Could we have almost a navigator-type system where patients don't have to go all over to different departments in the county or different agencies, but we would be able to assist them at one location to get access to those. So that's kind of what our goal is, that almost a coordinator of these services for them. We would not duplicate things that other social service agencies would be doing.
And the key to the center is integration. It's not a warehouse, it's integration. So that right now we know that people who may have behavioral health, physical health, or these social determinant issues often don't know where to go. Even if they find out where to go, it may address a very narrow scope of one problem, whereas other ones exist. And if the answers can be integrated for them, we can work together, then the problems can be solved long term.
Has Wellspan have these facilities in other communities?
They support similar type activities, but this would be unique, I think, not only within the Wellspan system, but potentially across the state too. We have an outside consultant helping us who travels the country and works with a lot of health centers and different organizations. And the model that we're proposing is something unique that he has not seen across the country. So I think we're kind of carving some new territory, and that's what I think we're looking to do, is not replicate what's been done, but to do something different that really gets to the heart of tying these things, as Jason said, together so that patients can get connected for all of their needs rather than disparate areas to have to go to.
So you would see these other stakeholders as partners?
Partners, yeah.
Do you see any in-house in this facility of, whether it's a county agency or an outside nonprofit actually being in the building?
We wouldn't rule that out if the space would support that, and then there's an agency that wants to, but we would not look to have an agency or social service organization relocate. But if there was a need or they had the ability to do that and the space was there, we would not say no. So as comprehensive as we could do under one roof, it would be great, but realizing some of these agencies have their own offices and things, and we just want to make sure they can be in a different location. We just want to make sure we coordinate the services much better together so that the handoffs are more seamless, if you will.
And the study that led to this was funded by Wellspan and the Dixon Foundation.
Yes.
Any comment or question from you folks from the Dixon Foundation? We good?
No, not at all. We're very interested in it.
Good. Okay. All right, we'll seek a motion then.
I'll make a motion to have the county serve as the agent in the grant application for Wellspan Good Samaritan.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. So ordered.